clicking their little cup going, can I please get a phone to speak? This doctor's already back out on the street.
And complaining about it, too.
Yeah. And I mean, he killed him. And he says he didn't, but I mean, come on, Doc. You don't just go around carrying big vials of propanol and carrying them in a house and juicing up your client or your patient and go talk on the telephone and he croaks. And you want to say you didn't do anything? I mean, you violated all the, laws of a medical practice, and you should be in jail, and you still should be there. And the man still should be sitting behind bars. Because there's more to that, too.
Right. Didn't he leave owning half of Sony and generating, $1 billion and, all those, I mean, those two guys alone in a room together easily comprise so much influence and money in the last 40 years
Kurt
of
Cobain
American
too.
Music, and Kurt Cobain as well, that's right. But, Ed and I usually see people that are usually yoke up like with this kind of people that the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger, they kind of get in with groups that would be detrimental to be around, and it seems like James Brown was kind of the opposite of that. He was in Blues Brothers, and he portrayed himself as someone who loved America and someone who was spiritual, and at the same time, he was sort of his own worst enemy.
He had, I think, what the world didn't know, because back when I got raped, I couldn't even get it broke. I couldn't get that story broke for anything. Nobody wanted to hear it. They were throwing me outdoors. They were looking at me like I was a crazy girl beating on their door.
But the thing is, that was after the big shootout with the cops and the truck.
They still didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear anything. They didn't want to hear. You couldn't get. James Brown had the biggest PR people in the world. You couldn't get anything broke.
Yeah.
The media would look at you and say, you're crazy. And I'd go, okay, but now here it is, years later, and it's all coming out, and I get calls all the time from a media person that walked away from me going, I'm really sorry. I wished I had listened. Yeah, you know what, media in America, wake up. We got problems in this country. Wake up. Give us the real news. When somebody comes in your door and says, hey, I got proof of this, take the time to listen. Don't say, shoot me an email, I'll look over it, and if we've got time, we'll get back to you. This is the problem with our country today. And I will say this, and normally I won't, but this is our problem right now with freedom of speech. We are losing it. We are losing our freedom of speech. We are losing our ability to be heard. We are everything is being squashed and hidden and put into closets. And we, the people, like in this trust, we, the people who pay the taxes, we, the people who put these political figures into office, should be able to walk into that AG's office and into the Attorney General's office and say, open the records of this trust and let us see how much money you people, hundreds of millions of dollars, have squandered, and not to the poor and needy, not one penny. You have a problem when that is happening, and they're saying you can't know. We're not going to let you know how much money has been spent. Who are they? That is a human being's right to make a will and to say, when I die, this is how much money I want to leave to the world. This is how much money I want to give to this person. And no one has the right to say, hey, we're not going to accept your will. We're going to designate the money to go where we want to, and we're going to handle it our way. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you've got a trust, you better think about it. Because what's happening over there in South Carolina is showing Americans don't make a trust because they don't have to follow it. Don't make a will. Your will is worthless if you have a lot of money.
It is true, man. These judges have too much power. They're out of control. And there's so much corruption going on in the U.S. court system. It's not even funny.
It's sick. It's sickening.
Yeah, and like you said,
is even more sickening.
And like you said about how the media, you're right. If you're a big star and you have a big, powerful press agent, it doesn't matter what the truth is and what the story is. I've got other stories like this I've worked on, like Shirley Tripp, who was involved in prostitution in Alaska with Todd Palin, all covered up. My client Brittany Jones, who was not raped, but was attacked in that hotel room by Charlie Sheen, and had to hire. He was covered in blood and glass all over the apartment. All these stories, it gets so much stuff gets covered up in the news.
Yeah.
Even cases that I've worked on during the daytime, and you think, what's going to be a big story tonight, And then the press agents get involved, and they cover it up because they have that power to do it to protect their clients.
Well, see, James Brown, all of his commercials went for Seneca, I Feel Good, X-Lax, and these TV stations were like, we're not going to talk to you.
Right.
We're going to talk about him. He's getting the Nobel Prize. He's getting here he was, a convicted felon, and he's standing up there receiving the Kennedy Award. And Reverend Al Sharpton, a couple of weeks before, they couldn't give him the Kennedy Award with him being a convicted felon. He turns around and goes in, and are you ready for this? He was given a complete. He was exonerated of all his federal charges. That meant everything from wife beating, brutality, shooting at police, everything. He was exonerated, and he was given the Kennedy honor.
Wait, now that was done on the federal level or the state level?
The federal level and state. He was exonerated of all of his criminal history. He had a clean slate and that even back to when he was a kid and he was robbing people. He was given the Kennedy Award.
Wait, what year was he given the Kennedy Award?
2005, when I was in federal court fighting him for a rape. Here
Okay.
I was fighting him for rape, and he's standing up there receiving the Kennedy Award.
So he had to have some kind of presidential pardon plus a state pardon.
Yes.
To cover the state charges. Who was president? Clinton?
Bush.
Bush.
Yes.
Wait, do you know what the backroom dealing was on that? Do you know any information on that?
I know that the district attorney fought it tooth and nail in South Carolina and said, wait a minute, this is insane, but Reverend Al Sharpton pulled it off.
Okay, makes sense because Al Sharpton put Bush into the White House by splitting the vote by running that year, and his campaign was paid for by the GOP.
And I just sat there watching it on television, and I was just crying. I could not believe what I was seeing. And even, to this day, I'm fighting because I don't feel anybody should murder a human being. And a lot of people say to me, well, look at what he did to you. He destroyed your life. But when you've got faith in the Lord, and you know that in order to heal and go on, it ate me like a cancer for years. And I became a very bitter and a very hated, full of hate. And I just woke up one day and I said, this is eating me alive and this is not healthy. And the only way is to forgive, like God said. And it was very hard, and it took a long, long time. But I did forgive, and I don't feel like anyone has the right to murder anybody for money. I don't think murder's right, and it just is this thing has come down to just plain truth. I mean, this is about a whole murky, sick story with a lot of lies covering it, and it just comes down to, hey, let's get all the truth out, exhume his body, and let's look at what happened for the greed, and see to it that the poor need to get their money.
Who was in the room with him when he died?
Mr. Sharpton's right-hand man.
What's his name?
Charles Bobbitt.
Okay, never
Charles
heard of him.
Bobbitt.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let me read some commercials here real quick, and then I guess we'll wrap up. I'll give you a chance to wrap things up. Okay, good old Amanda, Pacific West Bamboo, 503-839-8126. You want to email Amanda, it's demroots with a Z at operamail.com. And their Facebook page is Pacific West Bamboo. And they're your number one source for timber construction, craft-grade bamboo poles, plants, products. They can be reached at 503-839-8126. And they can and do ship nationwide. So any kind of project, craft you want to do, a construction project, anything you think you might need, bamboo. Bamboo is one of the best products you can use for flooring and things like that. It's the cheapest and the most durable. Don't forget my GoFundMe.com. It's a GoFundMe.com/AZTJZK. And you can just Google Help Save My Family by Ed Opperman. And we go to court Tuesday, by the way, here in Nevada. We're going to court Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. over there on Pecos at the family court. So if you want to come down, come on down. If you want to pray for us, it's 10:30 a.m. Tuesday. Please do. My daughter's really going through a lot of heartache here. And she has a show, by the way, on Saturday at 1 p.m. on cjmarsradio.com, and she's also going to be starting a show on Shake and Wake with Rick and Annie, and that'll be on, I think, either Saturday or Thursday right before my show. Hey, I want to thank, too, Christian Wallace. He has a show coming up on CJ Mars Radio on Wednesday night, Chris?
Yes.
Wednesday night.
Wednesdays at 9.
What time?
Wednesdays at 9.
9 p.m. Eastern time, which will be 6 p.m. Pacific time. And Chris, I want to thank you too, man, for donating to the GoFundMe.com AZTJZK to Help Save My Family by Ed Opperman. And also good old Mike Gray. Mike Gray's a great guy too. He also helped and donated with the fund there too. And check out Infinity Home Plans and Design Services, your resource for 3D and 2D draftsman services. They offer a multitude of products, including stock home plans, 2D digital drawing sets, 3D models, renderings, and more. So any kind of help you need with that kind of stuff, home plans or that kind of stuff, go to infinityhomeplans.com. Mike Ray's a great guy, and he really does support the show and helps out when we're in trouble here. Emailrevealer.com. You want to locate somebody? Let's say you got a long-lost loved one. You need to find them. It's really, really simple, and it's a quick search, too. We can do it for you. If you a simple search like just to locate somebody, if you have their name and address, their date of birth, it's pretty simple to find them. If you have somebody like an adoption situation, we can even do that. If you were an adopted kid or you had a kid you gave up for adoption, a lot of times we can find them, too. We had one case recently where this woman had her kids taken from her like 20 years ago, and we were able to locate all these kids, and they actually got together on Mother's Day, and they all called me up on Mother's Day all together at the same time there. So that's the kind of stuff we can do for you. Our newest sponsor is a village in Mexico. I am sponsored by a village of women in Mexico that make jewelry down there. They've written a book about their letters to the United States. The book is called New World Mexican Women, and it's about their letters to their men who traveled to the United States under hardship and are now living here now and sending money back to them, their sons, their husbands, their fathers, their grandfathers. And they have a website called handcrafted-ethnic-jewelry.com. And what they do is they teach you how to make authentic